And so you're back on TVRI World Starting Point. We'll be talking about World Music Choir and also Javanese Gamelan, of course, via Zoom with Dr. Heather McLachlan, a professor of ethnomusicology from University of Dayton. And also we got a student, and that is go by the name of Jacob Hernandez, a student of University of Dayton. But before that, let's have a visuals of World Music Choir and the Javanese Gamelan right here on TVRI World. Here it is. Javanese Gamelan Ensemble in Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio, United States of America. Where we see here, Louisa, all the students here in Dayton University, they are religiously playing gamelan. And they sounded super great. The teacher is holding the part, and everybody's at the back of their gamelan, trying to fit it in one harmony. And well, I gotta say, we listened to this in the studio in the morning. It feels super calming. It doesn't feel like morning at all. It feels like you're somewhere in Bali, near the beach of Uluwatu. Right in front of you, there is this Ayam Betutu. And you're watching the sunset from Uluwatu Temple. So beautiful. And of course, to elevate the feel of Indonesia, all the students there in Dayton, Ohio, they are wearing a blankon and also a kain sarung by the teacher, and they look amazing. It makes me want to play gamelan right here. Yeah.
Have you ever played gamelan before?
I have played gamelan actually, but I forgot when was the last time I played gamelan, Louisa. When was your last time?
When we were kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it's like one of the things that we need to learn at school. It's gamelan, and of course, holding the angklung, playing the usual do re mi. And I feel like gamelan is so uniquely Indonesian.
Yes.
It's just the sound of it is very unique, and like. Not many people know that gamelan is actually very hard to play.
True.
Because it has to take a whole teamwork to create that perfect harmony.
Yes.
Okay, and it's a very unique visuals just now that we see. All the students right there playing gamelan for us, using their blankon, the traditional costume in Indonesia right here. And we will talk more about the World Music Choir. And of course, the instrument itself, the Javanese gamelan.
Okay, let's get on to it, Louisa.
Let's get on with it. So in the heart of Ohio's academic landscape, a unique cultural resonance echoed through the corridors of a musical education. Now here, a visionary professor and enthusiastic student featured the rich tradition of Javanese gamelan, weaving its intricate melodies and rhythms into the fabric of the World Music Choir and Javanese Gamelan Ensemble curriculum. And joining us via Zoom is Professor of Ethnomusicology of the University of Dayton, Dr. Heather McLachlan, and Jacob Hernandez, a student at University of Dayton. Good morning from Jakarta, Professor and Dr. Heather, as well as Jacob Hernandez. Thank you so much for joining us in Starting Point. If we can just first go to Dr. Heather, can you please tell us the story of what motivated you to include gamelan in the World Music Choir and Javanese Gamelan Ensemble curriculum?
So I cannot take the full credit. The year before I was hired at the University of Dayton, two faculty members said that it would be a great idea to expand our curriculum by purchasing a custom-made Javanese gamelan and bringing it to our university. And so they did that. And your viewers may have noticed in the video that the instruments have our university initials UD carved into them and painted in gold. And we're so, so grateful to have this custom-built gamelan, we have both the pelog and the slendro instruments, a total of about 75 of them, although they weren't all on stage there in that particular performance. So the general goal is to provide our students, most of whom come from the middle part of the United States, with an experience of difference. This music is so beautiful and represents an enormous cultural achievement, but it's very different from what they're used to. And therefore, it gives them a chance to really expand their understanding of how music can be created and put together.
Now, in your personal opinion, Doctor, what do you think of gamelan itself?
Well, I think it's not only beautiful, but a wonderful pedagogical opportunity. As you mentioned in your introduction, it can be quite difficult to put this music together, so it presents a challenge. But there are also parts of it that are quite accessible and easy for beginners. And therefore, it offers an opportunity for people who have never played in any kind of musical ensemble before to come together with other musicians and be successful. And in fact, in the group that you saw in this video this morning, there are two people who had never played in a music ensemble of any kind before. And so this was their very first opportunity, and they were able to not only learn, but then demonstrate their learning to an enthusiastic audience. It was a really positive experience.
Thank you for mentioning that, Dr. Heather. And we are grateful that you teach and also play the gamelan for us in Dayton University. Now let's go to the student, Jacob. Jacob, what inspired you to participate in the Javanese Gamelan Ensemble, and how has it impacted your musical experience? If you can tell us, Jacob, go ahead.
So I got recommended this class by my sister, who took Dr. McLaughlin when she was at UD 4 years prior. She said, "Hey, you may have to get up and dance and sing the first day of class." And I thought, that's perfect. That's exactly the energy I want to have in my music class. As you know, you have to take some of these music classes, and you want them to be enjoyable. So I decided to take her class, and also for my honors program, taking the Gamelan Ensemble was an added bonus to that. So I'd never played any sort of instrument past second grade in my schooling experience. I played the recorder in second grade, and I sang in a choir in seventh grade. But joining her class, playing the Gamelan Ensemble, it's definitely changed my view of instruments and music across the world. I know we have students in our ensemble as well from Saudi Arabia and other parts of the United States. So it's just been great to play with people from all over the world and learn more about cultures such as your own in Indonesia, and hopefully continue to learn and keep coming back to the Gamelan Ensemble to learn more and more pieces of your beautiful music.
Well, thanks for that, Jacob. And perhaps if you can share with us, how long did it take you to learn about gamelan and to play, to perform there at the World Music Choir? How long did it take to learn it? And how has your experience been throughout the process?
Yeah, so starting off, I thought it was going to be pretty difficult. I don't read any sort of musical notation. But Dr. McLaughlin, hats off to her, she's been able to help me with that, making sure that any student of any background can play in the Gamelan Ensemble. It makes it easy for them. Yeah, so I've loved playing in it. I just can't say enough about Dr. McLaughlin and how she's helped us.
Was it challenging for you to learn it as a team? What was the challenge?
It was a little challenging when I started, as we only have one class a week and about an hour and a half to learn it. So as you think about that, you're like, oh, you only have so many classes to learn it. Many other classes you meet 2 to 3 times a week. But yeah, we definitely can keep learning, keep getting better. But Dr. McLaughlin makes sure that we're playing in time, playing together, and playing authentic Javanese gamelan music.
3 times a week, that is pretty good. So thank you, Jacob, for mentioning that. Now, back to Dr. Heather. As a professor of music of ethnomusicology. We would like to know, Dr. Heather, what was your first experience when you hit the gamelan and you hear the sound of gamelan? Can you describe the first experience that you experienced back then when you first hear the sound of gamelan?
Yes, I remember this well. It was my first year of graduate study. I was in New York State, actually, at Cornell University, where they've had a gamelan for about 50 years.
Wow.
And I remember I was sitting at a saron and I hit it, and the sound resonated so clearly, and it lasted such a long time. I remember that. And it was this, gorgeous ringing tone. And it was amazing to me, that I could just create beauty in just a second by just hitting this one note. I remember it vividly. I also remember being somewhat intimidated, thinking, well, this isn't, I don't even know many of the words and, the names of the instruments. How am I going to learn this? But this is one of the great insights of music education, is that music is a learned behavior, right? Yes. And so you don't have to have a particular background or come from a particular ethnic heritage to be able to master a tradition. You just need to have time and a good context in which to learn it.
Well, that's what they say about music, right? It's like everybody's language.
Yes.
Everybody speak in the same language when you go and you deep dive into music. Now, Professor, can you also share with us, was there any challenge or perhaps the successes that you've experienced in integrating gamelan into your teaching experience so far?
Yeah, so the major successes have been the concerts that we've done both on campus and off campus. In 2017, we performed with the Dayton Philharmonic Orchestra, which is a professional, unionized, world-class symphony orchestra in our city. In 2024, we're going to be performing with the Dayton Bach Society, which is a semi-professional choir, one of the most respected musical institutions in Ohio. So it's wonderful that other groups have recognized what we have to offer, and we've been able to get out into the community and educate people, because honestly, there are so few Indonesians here in this part of the world. Indonesian culture is almost unknown. So every time we play, I think it's a success, because we get to teach our audience something they didn't know before. Challenges for sure. The challenge, of course, starts with me, because I don't have the level of knowledge that I wish I had. I didn't grow up in Indonesia, and I haven't had the kind of very lengthy training that a lot of other American gamelan teachers have had. So we do mostly beginning level, loud style pieces, outdoor style pieces, because that's what we're able to do. So we have the challenge of owning beautiful instruments like ginder and chalampang and suling and rebab, and we don't play them because they are quite difficult. We have been blessed once to have a master teacher come from Java. His name is Pak Heri, and he worked with us for a semester. And in the concert, he played ginder and suling, and that really added to the sound that we were able to create just amongst ourselves.
Okay, thank you for mentioning that, Dr. Heather. It's good to know that a couple of American teachers there are teaching gamelan also from our point of view. Now, this next question applies to both of you. I want to ask Jacob first. Jacob, can you share a memorable experience or performance from your involvement with the World Music Choir and, of course, Javanese Gamelan Ensemble, Jacob?
Yeah, first of all, one of the earliest weeks of classes, Dr. McLaughlin let us know, like, hey, we're a family here. And she invited us all into her home to have a festival and eat together. Since we're going to be spending time learning something completely new to us, we needed to have a sort of special bond so that we could all learn together, have fun, and enjoy playing music, as it's supposed to be something that brings people together, makes people smile, and makes them happy, which I definitely attest to. And then earlier this morning, we played in that concert, as you see on the screen, and my family was there, my cousins, roommates, they all came out to watch. I appreciate everyone that came out to watch. We had some local Indonesian students as well from a local community college come out to watch. And my mom, after, she told me how beautiful it was. And on our Angklung piece, she told me that she cried. So it definitely hit deep. It touched me as well, to know that something that I did musically and something from a different country other than my own was able to touch her in a way that some other things can't.
You touched us with your story. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for mentioning about the Angklung performance. Shout out to your mom. We are proud also here from Indonesia. Now, same question goes out to Dr. McLachlan. Your memorable experience or performance from your involvement with the World Music Choir or Javanese Gamelan Ensemble, please, Dr. McLachlan.
Yeah, I would like to say that every one of them is memorable. But of course, I guess a particularly memorable one was last year. We had an abnormally large group, and we did a rather recently composed piece. And it was a learning experience for me. This was a piece that was composed by a Javanese Christian composer to be used in church. So that was interesting to us. We are a Catholic university at the University of Dayton, and we were able to play and sing this piece. It was a piece called Prasetya, which means promise, and it was about the promise of God as understood in the Christian religion. So that was really memorable because it helped us understand ourselves as part of a very large Christian family that in fact spans the whole world and that has all kinds of different musical traditions within it.
Now, Professor, can you please share with us what's next for the orchestra? Is there any more future performances coming up? Are you going to play the gamelan again with the same group? Or perhaps are you going to pick up other traditional instruments from Indonesia?
So the group that you saw on the screen there also learned to play the bamboo angklung. And yeah, we used those to accompany a Christmas tune. So in Bahasa Indonesia, it's Malam Kudus. And in America here, we call it Silent Night. It's a really well-known song, played all the time. At this time of year, you hear it in many, many contexts. But I'm pretty sure in Dayton, Ohio, we're going to be the only people who play it on bamboo angklung. And we're going to do that on December 7th. We anticipate about 400 people in the audience. It's a well-known event in our city, and we anticipate a big audience.
Okay, thank you for mentioning that, Professor McLachlan. Malam Kudus, yes, that is the right title in Bahasa Indonesia.
Silent Night.
And it's Silent Night called in English. Now, if you both were to visit Indonesia one day, will you want to study other instruments from Indonesia? How about you, Jacob?
Absolutely. I think the music there is just so beautiful. Hearing just a couple of the instruments that we were able to play in the Gamelan ensemble, for me, the saran and the Peking, those are the two instruments I played in the concert. Hearing those just makes me want to experience more instruments. So I'd love to go to Indonesia and see live performances of different gamelan ensembles and even more of the instruments that we didn't get to learn this semester. As I wanted to experience more music across the world, just from the interest that has piqued from Dr. McLachlan's class.
Thank you for mentioning that, Jacob. Now, lastly, Dr. McLachlan, any messages to all the music and also the world music lovers out there listening and hearing and see us live today? Go ahead, Dr. McLachlan.
Well, I want to say thank you, Matur Nuwun. Thank you for your support. We are well aware that we are not always doing this perfectly. We are coming at it from the perspective of being outsiders, people who didn't grow up with it. And we're aware that we might make mistakes and we might not do it to the highest level, and we're just doing our best. And we are so appreciative of the fact that even our efforts, if not always perfect, are appreciated. And we just thank you so much for your interest and your support. Matur nuwun.
Matur nuwun.
Matur
Matur nuwun,
nuwun.
Dr. McLachlan.
Nicely said. And we are very thankful too for you for exposing our music all the way there in Ohio. I
Yes.
mean, of course, for you, listening to our gamelan instrument is something unique.
Yes.
And for us, we are very proud. And thank you so much for bringing our music from Indonesia all the way to Ohio, to the international level. Thank you so much. And Starting Point will be back very shortly, so stay with us. Don't go away.